It's been such a long while since I had seen The Birds. Checking it out on 4K was such a treat. It has a kind of ropey opening. Transfer wise didn't quite look great, and then all of a sudden just snaps into this perfect vision of this movie where we follow Melanie, played by Trippi Hedren, who stumbles across Mitch Brennan, played by Rod Taylor, in a bird shop, and they kind of have a little bit of rapport and a little bit of flirtatious nature, and because of that she ends up buying the birds that he wanted, and making sure that they get to his sister, which is her birthday. But to do that she has to go to this small coastal town where strange things start to happen. Birds seem to be acting very oddly and attacking humans and other people at various points. Now, I really liked The Birds. I feel as if when it comes to Hitchcock, a lot of the things that drive his movies forward isn't the main idea of this, but the characters underneath, the characters that really drive it forward. We get Melanie, who kind of just drops everything. She meets Mitch, she kind of likes him, she's going to chase him. She's a strong woman who knows what she wants and most definitely goes after it. And then you get Mitch, who is a lawyer who seems a little bit guarded, whose mother is a little bit offhanded with a lot of the women that he brings in, and Kathy, his sister, is just a young woman who quite likes Melanie, quite attaches to her almost immediately. And a lot of the conversations between Mitch and Melanie are really fun and playful. You really get the aspect that he's a lawyer. You feel as if he's got her on the witness stand at points as he's just berating her with questions, tearing down her lies, of which she has many to start with, to get to the truth. And when he gets to the truth, he still seems to niggle at her, and it's an almost antagonistic relationship at points. As these two are coming together, they're starting to connect, and every now and again you get this flare up of her being a little bit too defensive and him being a little bit too attacking in his questioning of it. But you get this idea of this small community and how the Brennans fit into it, and how Melanie is kind of shoehorning herself into this. And I really like that aspect of it. Even side characters like Annie, the teacher, who has had a relationship with Mitch before, who is really nice to Melanie, who takes her in and kind of gives her an idea of the dynamic of that household with the mother and Mitch and the daughter, with Mitch the mother and Kathy the sister. And her relationship with Mitch previously. But of course this movie is about the birds. It's about this tension and dread and atmosphere that happens as well, and that's a really interesting moment of the movie. You know, the real kind of horror, that horror of nature just running amok, you know, breaking the status quo. It's the kind of thing I like and I've seen before done really well, particularly The Long Weekend, which is a wonderful movie of nature fighting back almost. And although there's no rhyme or reason as to what's going on, there are wonderfully created intense sequences that I think are just exceptionally done. One of my favourite moments is when Melanie goes to the school to see Annie, and she's sitting outside, and as she sits down there is a climbing frame behind her, and she's taking out a cigarette. A bird lands and the camera changes angles, and we just watch her just light up a cigarette, begin to smoke, and every now and again it'll cut back to that image of her with the climbing frame behind her, and there'll be a few more birds until ultimately every kind of perching space is filled with these animals, and it's wonderfully terrifying and scary. You know, something that's so prevalent in your life, something you see a lot but amassed to an unnerving degree, and that's what you get here within this movie. And there's lots of scenes like that as well. One of my favourite shots in the movie is one where there's an explosion of a car, and you get a high up shot of this as the petrol has been running down a hill, and this exploded has created this trail of flames, and you're just kind of watching it, and you see the idea of the full town, of the flames, of the size of this community, and then all of a sudden the seagulls come in and start to fill up the screen. It's terrific. It's really kind of ominous and scary. There's a moment where the Kathy is running from the birds as Melanie and Annie are getting them out of the school and chasing them down to safety, and these murder of crows is just attacking them. And the editing, the way it's shot, the way it's put together, creates a real sense of dread and terror. And although a lot of the effects are probably low key, you never really spot them too much. They look terrifying. These birds look as if they're properly at these kids trying to kill them, and it becomes a really dread-filled sequence because you have a lot of youths, a lot of people who may not be able to defend themselves, as well as adults under extreme danger. It's tense. It's getting me worked up just thinking about how fun that sequence is. And the movie has lots of sequences like that. It does have a rather subdued ending to it, of just like our heroes making through a sedate level of birds as they just on every single perch, and even some of these shots, particularly the one at the end where every kind of perching ground that has a bird on it is backlit with the setting sun. It's wonderful. It sticks in my mind even now just thinking about it. Although I do feel that the movie has some shortcomings. I don't think the relationship between Mitch and Melanie is really great as it has been in some other movies. It's close, but it never quite gets there. There's some moments where it's just frustrating, particularly when Melanie, in a house that's been attacked by birds, feels the need to go up to the attic room, hears noises and go inside only to be attacked, passing out in front of the door. Just things like that just feel a little bit unnecessary and a little bit just a little bit too neat for storytelling purposes. It's just something that just doesn't sit right with me there. But other than that, The Birds is wonderfully effective, still so these days, terrifying, atmospheric, and some good characters as well. Great sub-characters fill this plot as well, and some just wonderful scenes creating through wonderful editing, staging and special effects. I thought The Birds was brilliant. Not as good as Rear Window, but then what is? But I'd love to know your thoughts on the movie. Let me know in the comment box below. I'll see you next time on Man v Film.